honestly, the bar is so deeply in hell. Even some of my homeboys, the guys that I think are decent, have even said stupid shit to me like, women have to earn flowers.
What's wrong with that? Yeah, women have to earn flowers.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
What? Like, I couldn't believe the shit. All right, story time. So I had a really shitty summer. Horrible summer, mental health in the crapper. And so I called my homeboys from college. They live in Austin. I was like, hey, you know, I'm gonna end it all. Like, can I come visit? And they're like, absolutely. Like, come down. We'll take care of you. Like, bring. So I'm driving down, to go see them, and my friend calls. Now, this friend I know through them. We're gonna call my friends from college Beavis and Butthead for the sake of this story, because I'm so mad about it. I can't believe they said this shit to me. We're gonna call them Beavis and Butthead, and we're gonna call their friend George. So they introduced me to George because George wanted to learn how to use social media. So he and I had FaceTime several times. We'd be texting every now and then. And he's a really cool dude. He's like in his 40s. He actually just turned 40. So he's real nice. So anyway, so I'm driving down and he calls me to see if I had made it yet. And I told him, like, no, I haven't made it. I'm still on the road. And he's like, okay, well, I wanted to tell you that I have, some dates lined up. I have 2 dates lined up. And I was like, oh my God, that's really exciting. Because again, he's 40. He hasn't dated in a couple of years. So, this is good news. So he's like, I want to call you and see if you had any advice for me. And I said, oh, well, if you want to stand out, you should bring flowers.
Mistake number 1, asking a modern woman for dating advice. Really, I should say asking any woman. I don't care if she's married. I don't care. These chicks, regardless of their situation, give the worst dating advice ever. The single women are giving delusional advice, and most married women know better. They just tell other women shit they wish they didn't do that got them their man, right? I wish I wasn't submissive. Yeah, but look at you now.
Bring flowers. I'm like, men don't really bring, gifts to dates anymore. It's kind of like a lost art. If you want to stand out and have her remember you, like, bring flowers. I'm like, if you could think of something maybe that's a little bit more personal, that would be better. And so I gave him the example. Back in 2020, when I was, getting to know my now ex, one day I went to my fridge while we were FaceTiming and I pulled out a pack of cold strawberry sour straws. And he was like, did you just pull candy out the fridge? And I was like, yeah, I just think they taste better that way. Fast forward to a month later when I finally go meet him for the first time in person, because at the time I was living in Chicago getting ready to move to Austin. I go visit him in Austin for the first time, and he asked me, if I want something to drink, because this was during COVID, so we couldn't really go anywhere, so I met at his house. And I was like, oh yeah, no, water would be fine. So he comes over, he hands me a bottle of water, and he hands me a pack of cold strawberry sour straws. Now, is this an important thing about me? No, this is not an important thing about me, but to be loved is to be known. Right? And clearly that made quite the impression, because I'm still talking about it 4 years later. So I told him, like, if you could think about something like that, that would be cool, but flowers are probably a safe bet, So I tell him that, and I eventually, get to my homeboy's place in Austin, and, we're talking about my drive and things, and I tell him, like, oh, did George tell you about, about his date? And they're like, yeah, he told us. Why? I was like, oh, well, no, I was just talking to him, and he's going to get her flowers. And Beavis and Butthead were like, you told him to get her flowers? Why would you do that? You setting him up. He gonna look like a simp.
Yeah.
I'm sorry? He's gonna look like a simp. You gotta be careful, but you can't buy every girl flowers. For context, okay? These two goof nuts are computer science engineers. They work remotely, and they have multiple jobs. All right. One of them has multiple jobs right now. The other one, I think he has one job right now. But since I've known them, both of them have had a minimum of 2 jobs at a time. These men are making bank. I'm like, y'all are not sitting here telling me that a woman has to earn $8 Trader Joe Kroger flowers, are you?
Yeah.
And they were dead serious. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, this cannot be real. Not y'all, because my expectations were higher for them, right? Because, they're my friends. Like, I expect more from them.
Sounds like they drink coffee to me.
So I'm like, I got to talk to somebody else about this. Now, I forgot to mention this. The day before, I had matched with this guy on Hinge, and we had talked all day, and we ended up being on the phone at night. He called me at night. We talked for like 2 hours. He was, he seemed like a really cool dude. He was cute. And so I was like, you know what? I told him I was going to call him when I get to Austin. Like, this will give us something to talk about, because I figure, he would get a kick out of it, because it's crazy in my mind, right? This is crazy. So Jesus Christ. So I call him. I call him, I tell him about my drive, we're talking, a little bit, and then I bring up the flowers thing. And he's like, well, yeah, you can't buy flowers for everybody.
Right.
What? He's like, yeah, you can't buy flowers for everybody. He's like, not that I haven't bought flowers before, but, you can't buy flowers for everybody. And we continue to go back and forth about this for about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Max 15. We really, I don't remember, but we weren't on the phone for that long, because eventually he then says that I'm harping on the matter, that I was harping on the matter. And that was it for me. I was like, all right, and we're done here. And we're done.
Shout out to this dude. Shout out to this dude. Listen, the reason why I say shout out to this dude for keeping it real is because a lot of guys out there would have never kept it that real, because they would have been too worried about the possibility of getting the cheeks. Let's just keep it real. That's what it is. And he decided to be real.
Tell him, like, I made some excuse to get off the phone. I think I said my head hurt or something like that. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I was like, yeah, bet, we'll talk tomorrow. Blocked him. Hung up the phone and blocked him. Normally I would give context as to why, but I was so agitated with that because the day before I had asked him if he was generous. And when women ask if, a man is generous, I think men jump to is financially. And so I made sure to make it very clear to him that wasn't entirely what I meant. I was like, okay, I dated someone for a very long time who was not generous. And it wasn't just financially. Financially, he was not generous. He wasn't generous with his time. He wasn't generous with his emotion. He wasn't generous with his resources in general. He was not generous. And so I said, that is a red flag for me. I will never date another man. Because again, I like both, but we're talking about men. I said, I will never date another man who is not generous. And he said that he was. And the idea of bringing flowers to a date apparently is too much. It's too much. I think that's crazy. I'm like, y'all be so concerned about someone taking advantage of you instead of just simply doing something nice and sweet for the next human being. Because here's the thing. As a man, if you're buying flowers, you can only win. There is only positive outcomes for you. And here is why. One, the woman who sees who you get the flowers to, let's say she gets the flowers and she's like, oh my God, no one has ever bought me flowers before. Girl, the waitress, girl, he bought me flowers. This is our first day he bought me flowers. You win, right? If she turns out to be right? You buy her flowers and she's not appreciative or whatever,
right?
You win. Because it was an $8 investment into finding out that she was and that you shouldn't be with her.
What? I want my $8 back. And listen, it's not about the $8. It's not about the flowers. The lack of understanding here that it's not about the flowers is crazy. It's not about the flowers. This is exactly like reversing the role of why don't you make that man a sandwich. Even if it's a simple sandwich, it won't cost you that much. $10 ingredients. Show servitude to that man, even if you don't know if that man ain't shit. Before you know if he's going to dog you out or not, treat him like that. I'm hoping that if you reverse the roles, she'll understand, but most likely not. She doesn't drink coffee.
There are no cons in this situation. But the fact that men want to give you the absolute least while expecting the absolute most, crazy. Absolutely freaking crazy. And you know what? The bar is in purgatory. It's in purgatory.
So another example, gentlemen, of why you should never get advice from women struggling, from single struggling women who are still in the dating market, unable to find somebody. You can never take advice from most of them. Very few women will actually tell you the truth. Some will, most of them won't. Most of them will not. And again, what she fails to realize is the amount of men out here who have gone out with flowers and have gotten stood up. I did a video about this. Dude shows up, flowers, gets stood up. What a clown is what goes through your mind. You not only look like a clown, but you feel like a clown in that type of a situation. No woman deserves what she has not earned. Now, if you want to be out here taking bullets to your heart and taking every woman flowers regardless of how she treats you, it's your prerogative. You could go ahead and do that. But no woman deserves that. Every woman thinks before you know anything about her You should just assume that she's good. You should reward her behavior regardless of what you know about her. To me, it's ridiculous. It's illogical. She does not give you the same type of benefit of the doubt in most cases. I don't think any two humans should come together and operate that way in life. No other part of life operates that way. This doesn't mean that you treat her horrible. That's not what this is about. But not every woman deserves flowers. Lastly, she's talking about $8 like it doesn't add up after 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 dates. That money adds up over and over and over again. And the biggest hit, of course, is to that man's ego when it gets thrown back into his face. And for the record, man, I believe there are plenty of men out there who buy women flowers on the second or third date because they were unbelievable on that first date. And the question is, do you deserve flowers? Yes or no? Guys, as always, I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod. I'm here in the Prius, as usual, having a regular conversation with you. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.